Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Leslie Simmons, and I am the program manager for Community Wise, which stands for Women Investing in STEM Equity. We are an initiative of the Career Technical Education Foundation, and our goal is really to inspire and engage young women in pursuing STEM education and careers. The work we do considering the Girls Tinker Academy. So we raise funds for programs like the Girls Tinker Academy, which is a 2-week free summer camp program for middle school girls. That's one of the things that we do. And our STEMspiration series is something new for 2021 that we've been doing over the last 6 months or so. And I'm really excited. I'm going to go ahead and ask Himali to bring her camera on. And I don't know if we lost our other panelists, but Carmina's here. Hi, Molly, welcome. Carmina is traveling, so she may be coming in and out a little bit. We are definitely virtual this year, or this session. And our third panelist, unfortunately, had a family emergency and is not going to be able to join us today. But we're going to continue on, and we're going to explore a little bit about Carmina and Himali's education and career paths, so we can learn a little bit about how they became engineers and employees of the California Water Resources Board. And so we're just going to have a chat and learn a little bit more. First, I presented a challenge to our panelists to come up with an introduction of themselves in 140 characters or less. And so, Himali, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to post that in our chat. And maybe if we have folks listening on Facebook, I will copy and paste that into Facebook as well. And that way we can see what you came up with your 140 characters, so that we can get to know you a little bit better. All right, so go ahead and read your 140 character bio.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, hi, Himali.
Hi. So I'm actually a water resource engineer in profession, and I'm just passionate about my work. I love helping people. So that's why I'm here at the water board. I love to hike and bike, and I love to organize things. I love enjoying mentoring other people who need help.
Well, that's awesome. I think mentorship is such a key part about sort of staying engaged in your work and in your education. That's very cool. Can you tell me where you love to hike and bike typically? Because you're in the Sacramento region, correct?
Yeah, I use mostly Folsom trails. There's a lot of trails in Folsom, and I love to go with my kids and hike, and that's kind of the only thing that you can do these days. And we take full use of it right now.
Well, that's great. So let's jump right in. I know Carmina, she's going to have to just catch up with us as we go. But I would love to hear a little bit about your education pathway. You can start as young as, when you were in middle school or high school, and sort of, how did you, what kind of student were you? Did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? How did you sort of land in pursuing an education path in STEM?
So I knew I wanted to be a civil engineer when I grew up, because my dad was a civil engineer, and I was always exposed to the engineering lingo about construction sites, and math was always a very common topic at our house. And so that experience being with my dad, and that kind of led me to actually choose that as my career. And in high school, I was very quiet, but I loved math and chemistry. So this actually came in handy later on when I started civil engineering. Um, and one thing I wanted to do was I always look for opportunities to perform extra, like in high school, like look for extra things to do and just try new things. So basically, that's how I ended up starting my career.
So, what about those new things got you into your career? So what do you mean when you said you always like starting new things, and how that got you into your career?
So when I was a child, I would always love to explore things like how dams would work, or like play with mud and just be outdoors all the time. So that kind of like, you have child's play, you play with your like little imaginary play structure or whatnot, and you build things. So that kind of actually started to move forward, like you wanted to do it for real when you start progressing. So I think that's something I looked into later on and just studied civil engineering.
You said that you like to mentor others. When you were in high school, are there any specific, were there any mentor relationships that helped inspire and motivate you to continue your work?
My mentor was my dad, actually. But in high school, I had counselors and so forth, but it's mainly my dad and my mom who inspired me to like never give up. Like there are some occasions that you feel like, oh, okay, this is not what I want to do. It's too hard. But they kept that momentum going. So that helped me actually get through school.
And were there any, when you were in high school, even, I mean, what challenges did you face that maybe you did get frustrated, or what sort of things did your dad help you through? Was it just academics, or was it other things kind of around, becoming more of like a STEM passionate for STEM? Were there other things that sort of, was it just the academics, or were there other things that you were challenged by?
Mainly at high school level, it's mainly academic and maybe like science fairs and things like that. Like they encourage you to participate, and I would do that. But later on in my career, actually, I met some good engineers who actually mentored me to be beyond just an engineer. And I had a lot of leadership opportunities, which actually led me to who I am right now. So that I would really give credit to those engineers who pushed me and believed in me to actually look into other opportunities.
So, as you, went into college, what was there? I mean, you already kind of knew, did you know you wanted to be, you knew you were interested in civil engineering. And so how did you refine that? And how did you end up pursuing the educational pathway that you did in college? And what did you decide to do? And when did you know that it was the right pathway for you?
So, like I said, I knew all along I wanted to be a civil engineer, but I didn't know when in school, especially in high school, you don't know you only see what you see through someone else. So my dad, he used to be in the construction, like highway construction, specialized in that area. So I would see that area mostly. But when I actually started college, I realized when I started taking more courses, like design courses and water resources, and like you get a variety, like transportation and everything. And then you realize, oh, okay, this is not what I really want to do. Even though I'm a civil engineer, I want to actually go into water instead of design and highways. So that was my dividing point, and transition into a different sector in civil engineering.
That's great. Were there, as you sort of transitioned from from college into your career, were there any bumps that you had along the way? And if there were, how did you sort of jump over those bumps? How did you solve those problems that you might have had? Or was it just always smooth sailing?
No, there was one time in the middle of my school years that it's just it gets harder and harder. The classes, they are not always easy. So then I realized, okay, I want to try something else. And I did try computer engineering, and I didn't like it at all. It's just, it's not me. I'm more of a people person and more hands-on helping person. So I know computer engineering, there's a way of helping, but it's a different way of helping. So I really enjoy, and I'm glad that I got back to my track where I wanted to go. And it's just, I stayed on that track again.
Yeah. Since you are a civil engineer and you work with other civil engineers, what besides, being a people person, are there any other characteristics that you feel like you have or that others around you have that really makes it, any characteristics that really support that career choice for you? What other characteristics do you think civil engineers need to have in order to be successful?
I think one is dedication. You have to have passion about what you want to do. That's one thing. Dedication is another. Good communication skills, maybe leadership skills. Any opportunity that you get along the way, my suggestion is you grab it. You don't say no. That you don't be afraid to test the waters. You always want to try new things. Even if you fail, then you would get that experience and move on. That's how you learn. So especially in high school, transitioning to university or in college, you would want to try different opportunities that there is. Like, even if it's something that you don't like to do, maybe you might end up liking it. So don't be afraid to try new things.
Right, definitely. I mean, with career technical education, the foundation supports lots of different courses, and the name of the game for us is really about exposing young people to careers in a lot of different industries, and letting them learn that, about this kind of wide range of things, and explore those and sort of see what might fit for them. I think that's what's really important, is to have an open mind, right?
Yeah, and I think another thing is like when you are in school, and then from high school to college, and then towards the end of your university degree, they have a senior project where you get to actually work with everyone in together as a team. And by that time, you already have that exposure to everything that you learn, and you put everything together and come up with the project. So those tools actually help later on when you actually go to the real world to work on. So I say when you get to that point, you have to actually enjoy it, and just realize, okay, it's hard, I'm tired, I just want to graduate, but you just keep going. I mean, by that time, it's you're gonna be paid to actually apply what you learn from school. So, and enjoy life. So I think that's important.
Do you know if most universities sort of have that project-based learning, for their senior year curriculum? I mean, is that pretty common in civil engineering pathways, do you think, in the university, is that they have sort of a project that you work on at the end? Is that, I mean, I'm just asking, I wasn't a civil engineer, so I didn't study that, but is that a pretty common part of most study practices in the university?
Yes, in civil engineering, if you're graduating from especially civil engineering, you get to do that senior project, and you have to account for all aspects of what you learn. And it's funny, I think in a way it gets easier and easier towards the end, because the hard, like your math and your science and all those courses, those are all done, and then you get to actually enjoy real stuff. So that's important to actually complete your project. One thing is like working with other people. That's where actually you get to test if you actually can work with other people, which is a really important thing when you go into the real world. Like especially right now when I'm working, I work with a lot of other engineers, and but that's your first step into the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little different than like working, as a mechanical engineer, where you might be tinkering with a little gadget or whatever and working on a circuit board or something. And, whereas with civil engineering, you're having to deal with city planners and architects maybe, and right, all these different characters that are part of our society.
Yeah.
And I'm simplifying it. I'm sure that mechanical engineers also talk to people. So I apologize for folks that are mechanical engineers, but.
And especially this is what we do is water resources engineering at the water board. So I mean, that's what I specialize in. And
let's not get to that yet. I still want to do our fun game. I know it's just the two of us, but before we get into what your job is now, I do want to play our little game. Even though it's just the two of us, I'm gonna have to now. I have to be the one that guesses. So. For those of you guys watching, we're going to play two truths and a lie. So Himali has put together, is it two truths and a lie, right? Not two lies and a truth. Two truths and a lie. And I challenged her with talking about, giving us two truths and a lie about something funny, bizarre, weird, or exciting that she's experienced in her job. And so I want to see what you've come up with, Himali. Don't tell me which is the lie. But just tell me the three things.
Share it, right?
Sure, you can share it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, if I'm gonna say, I was asked to work at the Bay Bridge, So do you want me to say all three together or just
Say all three, yeah, and then I'm gonna guess which one is not the truth.
Okay. And I have worked with like 5 women contractors on the field to do pressure testing for weeks, and I got into a trench and do pressure testing in pipes with group of 5 women engineers.
Okay.
Okay. The other one is I actually got to help design a 60-inch water pipeline.
I'm going to say that the first one is not the truth because you work in water. I feel like you talked about trenches with the 5 women engineers and then a 60-inch water pipeline.
So the first one is the lie.
Yeah.
No, first one is the truth.
Is the truth. Oh, so yeah. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So tell us about what did you do on the Bay Bridge?
So actually, I was asked to work on the Bay Bridge. So that's why I mentioned asked to work on the Bay Bridge, which I previously, before I came to the water board, I worked at a consultant firm back long time ago, and I was able to work with the different things. One main thing I did was design pipelines. So, and another thing is construction management. So construction management means it's what you actually get to design when it's actually being built. You get to actually go and inspect what you do, what you design. So I was able to, I have done many inspections for different sewer and water pipeline design. And at one point, my office offered to go to the Bay Bridge, and they were doing some work, and they needed people to go. The only caveat was on that I was in Sacramento and I had to travel every day. I had to at least be there by 5 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
So I ended up not going, but it is true. And I felt really good about myself because all my experience was something that was counted for to actually ask to be there. So,
that's cool.
Is the truth.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's see. Then I'm going to go with, you had some pretty good specifics on the second one about working in the trench with the 5 women engineers. So I'm going to go with the third one is the lie.
Actually, no, that is actually third one. Third one is actually also the truth. The second one would be the lie, meaning I did work with contractors, but they're all men.
Ah, of course, because there's not very, I was going to say it'd be really unusual to probably have 5 women engineers working on a project together.
Yes, so that's why I actually brought it up, because for all these people kids who are listening, it's really, if you, that's why I kept saying over and over, don't be afraid to go and test things. Because like you might be the only one doing that type of work, but if you know what you're doing, you don't need to be afraid of what you're doing. And actually, because in this case, I was maybe the 3rd or 4th year out of college, and I was out there with the contractors every single day, and they would test me. You know, I'm one thing, I'm a woman engineer, but So they would try to test me and see if test my limits basically. But but you have to be actually very confident of what you're doing, and just be yourself and try to get through that day. That's how you actually learn most of the time, just because it will be intimidating at some points, especially when you're a woman, and but don't take that into granted and just keep going.
Do you feel like you faced discrimination as a woman engineer in that experience, or was it more subtle?
They do, like sometimes they would want to, there's a lot, like when you're actually doing pipeline pressure testing, I have to make sure that the pressure testing is done properly and recorded. But at points they would say, oh, we already did it before you got here, and or there would be high raised voice sometimes. It's just that the contractors can intimidate you at some points, but it wasn't subtle. But if you actually, those experiences might actually, it's not going to be there for the whole career. That's just a instance. So if you can get through that, you can get through your other challenges.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. So let's sort of transition into your job. You know, we now know a little bit about your experience, but I would love to hear more sort of about, you know, kind of the basics. My colleague posted a couple questions here, but for those that are watching that maybe kind of know what a civil engineer is, it'd be great for you to sort of provide a little bit of information broadly about what is a civil engineer and what, you know, what courses do you need to take to become a civil engineer? And then I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what you do in your job on a day-to-day basis, so people kind of understand how you apply those courses eventually to your actual job on a day-to-day basis.
So in school, you would learn mostly science and maths. You start out from high school. Most of you folks may be doing calculus already at school, algebra, geometry and calculus, and then you'll be doing those courses, and then chemistry and physics would be like the basic courses. And I think then later on you do like surveying or soil mechanics or transportation engineering. Those are different other hydraulics, structural engineering. They're all aspects of civil engineering, geotechnical engineering courses. So any of that, not to mention environmental engineering. That's very heavy topic these days. Mm-hmm. So once you pass that, they give you a broad variety of courses to do. So by that time, you are capable of trying to narrow it down to what you actually really want to do later on. And towards the end of your schooling years, you get to pick electives, which are like specific courses that you really want to focus on before graduation. So that's where actually hydrology or environmental engineering law or something that in that aspect comes in to play. Like CEQA, like environmental, California Environmental Quality Act. So there are a few other classes that they have that if you're going into water resources engineering, that you could pursue.
And so what is your job like now that you're at the California Water Resources Board? What does that mean?
So my best thing about actually in my job, what it means is I get to actually help disadvantaged communities in California with their drinking water and wastewater needs. So I get to work with multidisciplinary sections to solve water problems in California. So, which is huge actually. I didn't really expect that in when I actually started. I have come a long way, and it's everything I have learned. It's actually I get to apply on a day-to-day basis. Especially those experiences that you talk about, and trying to help someone who doesn't have good water quality or good water at their city is huge. It's something that I didn't even know that there's actually over 1 million people in California who doesn't have proper water.
Proper so like city water is like not good, you mean? I mean,
some cities doesn't have the city water or the wells. It's either contaminated or they don't have a proper water source. So all these things that you actually get to learn in your job, which I mean I knew, but you get to work closely with them, especially with these disadvantaged communities. So in my job, I do mostly like we provide technical assistance to these communities for funding. Because they have no way of funding their projects, and we get to evaluate these what their project needs is, and then we would try to see if there's funding available for them.
What was I going to ask? Do you feel like, I mean, with these communities, I mean, you said 1 million people that don't even have necessarily good drinking water. Has that gone up or down? I mean, do some of the like the climate change effects that we've seen with wildfires, and now there's been a lot of news the past few weeks about drought in California. How do these impact not just, you know, regular communities, but these communities that are already hard hit with poor water quality?
So that's why when they're applying for funding for these type of projects, there are certain metrics that apply for different funding criteria. So for these drought purposes or things like that, it has to, everything is evaluated based on their need, and based on how bad the water quality is, if they have any citations, and especially at a drought, and if they don't have any water, that's they might probably get bottled water supply. There were so many avenues within the water board that people work on too. So, it's just different.
So is your work more like sitting at a desk and reviewing reports and grants and that kind of thing? Or do you get to go out into the field and like meet and talk to people? What kind of things do you do in your job?
So mine is mainly I would evaluate projects to see if they actually meet funding requirements for a planning project or a construction project, and basically trying to communicate with whoever is trying to support that community. So there are other uh, parties that support them, support communities, and we work with them. They are called the funding recipient, and we'll work with them to see. And my job every day is actually try to evaluate those projects. I would have meetings to talk to those recipients every day. I mean, since there's different projects that I work on, and I would have to follow up with those different cities and needs, and also communicate within our office, in our group, and come up with the right solution for the project. So it's a lot of communication, a lot of writing report, not writing reports, evaluating them, communicating, emailing, or talking to others. So it's on the case by case basis. It's always different. So that's what I love about my job. It's not the same thing every day. You come into different challenges.
So this is something you love. Is there anything that you don't love about your job that you sort of like wish you didn't have to do? Right? I mean, not every job's perfect, right?
True, but I think there's really nothing I don't like about my job right now. Probably only thing is that we are home working. Like you asked if I get to actually go out and meet these people. Yes, that is the criteria to actually meet, but with our with the pandemic and everything, we don't actually do that, but that's actually something you are supposed to do. Go
and
out.
you're a people person, right? So that's probably the piece that you miss.
Yes. So, and it's, I think when you are connecting with those people, you actually know exactly what's going on that side, and you see it. And right now it's mostly in paper.
Great. So anything else that you would like to share with the young people in our sphere that we are trying to encourage to engage with and pursue in STEM?
I actually had this slide. Let me share. I wanted to reiterate this. Never be afraid to try something new, because life gets so boring if you don't if you stay within those limits. So just my experience is when I was in university, I had an internship at the water board, which gave me tremendous experience to work with other people, to talk with other engineers. So you get that exposure. And then after, when I graduated, I had to work in the consulting field, where I got to work with consultants, and like I said earlier, the construction aspect of it, and just pipeline, water and sewer pipeline design, any of that. It's just like I've never said no to any of that. Anything that comes along, I would just grab it and take that experience. So I think that's something, maybe I don't know what type of engineering that you guys want to go into. In my experience, I've had experience in like microtunneling. Maybe that's something you guys, when you go home today, you guys can look up and see what microtunneling is. And that's something I've never had the experience when I went to school. I didn't even know what that was. But in your job, when you started working, you get to actually talk about it and then design it. And when it actually there, you kind of feel proud about yourself. Oh, okay, yeah, there's something that I didn't even know I actually got to work on. So yeah,
That's great. That's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah,
well, cool.
I'm trying to see if I missed anything on you can ask any questions. I know there's something on the chat, but I guess we wait on that, right?
Yeah, you're welcome to answer any of those.
Okay.
Let's see, maybe stop. There we go.
So I think someone asked, do civil engineers work with CAD programs? It depends. Like in my experience, when I worked at worked for consulting, there are CAD experts. So if we draw on a piece of paper, they would actually do the CAD drawing for you. But some offices, you have to actually know CAD and you actually work with CAD. And that's something some people enjoy doing. So it's just up to you how you want to perform on that.
And I think we already talked about what programs and courses that you took in high school and college.
Yes.
Well, good. Well, Himali, our panel of 3 was
I know
shrunk down, but I really appreciate you sharing a little about your education and your career for all of our aspiring civil engineers out in the world. I thank you for your time, and it was really a pleasure talking with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And hopefully we can do it again. Yeah, maybe we can get all the women together at another time when things are working out better.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we all get to talk one day together.
Well, we definitely appreciate your support of CommunityWise through PEG and your philanthropic committee there as part of the labor union. So thank you for that support and for participating in activities like this. It's really important to help continue inspiring girls. So thank you.